She's sinking in.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be giving you just like a general homestead update. It is now very early April, it's officially spring, and we've been very busy, and I feel like I just haven't really talked about a lot of the things that have been going on here or updated in a while. So today we're just gonna walk around the garden. I'm gonna show you what the garden's looking like at this point. We're kind of like in the middle of spring cleaning and prepping for the garden season. So everything's not all set up yet, but I'm just gonna show you like what we have so far at this point. I'm also going to give you a seedling update, a chick update for the baby chicks that we got a few weeks ago, and then we'll go around and take a look at the other animals as well. So yeah, like I said, it's going to be a full homestead kind of update. It's not going to be a full tour because I am planning on doing like a more comprehensive tour later in April once more things are planted and the garden's all set up. But we have a lot going on, and I feel like we just haven't talked about it in a while, so we're gonna go around and take a look at everything. I think I'm gonna do the seedlings at the end because some of them are inside, so for now I'm gonna show you outside and show you the gardens and the animals. Alright, so here we are outside. First off, I've worked on moving the green stalk to our patio. We used to have it in our garden, in between those two beds in the middle of our garden, but I kind of didn't really like it there, and it wasn't really doing much. So I moved it to the patio, so we're gonna see how it does this year over here. And in its place, I just put one of our bird baths there, and these two beds are the ones I'm gonna fill with flowers, so I think it's gonna be a really nice like centerpiece to our garden. Now to the side here, we have our like mobile chicken coop. We usually just use this for if one of our chickens is having a problem and they need to go in quarantine for whatever reason, like if they're sick or if they're being bullies. We actually built this coop because a few of our chickens were picking on some of our younger chickens one year. But anyway, we have our little chickies in here. They're not that little anymore. They've definitely grown quite a bit. And I think today's gonna be the day where they're like officially moved out because they have been staying indoors, but they have just been so stinky and disgusting. So I think it's about time for them to move out now. We're gonna have nice weather this week. We may keep them in the greenhouse overnight, but definitely during the days, I think they're gonna be staying out here full time, and our house is gonna smell a lot better again. But yeah, they have grown so much. They pretty much have all of their like new feathers now. A lot of their like baby chick down has fallen out. And yeah, they're kind of in that like scruffy looking phase, but they definitely have a lot of their new feathers in. And yeah, they're just looking a lot bigger than when we first got them, of course. And they're looking really pretty. I'm so excited to see what they look like when they're all grown up. They're really enjoying being outside though. We started bringing them out just like maybe a couple hours at a time just when the weather was nice, and then we would bring them back in. But it's gonna be really nice to just have them out here pretty much permanently. And they're in here because they're still too small to be put in with the fully grown chickens because they'll probably get picked on. And they also just are not hardy enough to be out in the cold, because if it really gets cold, we're gonna bring them to the greenhouse like I said. But I think they're pretty much gonna stay in here until they're like maybe 4, 5, 6 months old. We're just gonna have to see, you know, how big they get and how they're growing. But this is gonna be their home for a bit. I think they're really enjoying it. They still have their brooder in there just for supplemental heat as well. So here's a look at the raised bed garden. Probably about half of these beds are like all prepped and have stuff in them, but the other half I'm still in the process of like weeding, adding compost, and all that. So to the right here we have our bed. Most of that is garlic on the side, and then in the empty space I've pulled out my kale and I've planted in some onions. They're still pretty puny looking right now, but I think I have red onions in here. The garlic is looking really good. It's definitely grown a lot in the last month or so. This bed's still kind of a mess. I have a bunch of different things in there. This one's covered up, but this is also onions. I have a lot of beds of onions because I just had so many seedlings. So you can see all the onions in there. And then more onions in here. I had some cabbage plants from the fall, but not all of them made it, so I just kind of filled it in with onions. And for all of my onions, I'm covering them this year with tulle or fabric because I had a lot of trouble with onion flies last year. They got into my onions and a lot of them didn't store too well. So I'm going to try and keep them covered to keep the flies off of them. Same thing goes with the garlic since those are alliums as well. So usually this bed is covered, but it blew off. And after I do this video, I'm going to cover them back up. This bed has a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I have a little bit of empty space. I think I'm going to put my fennel seedlings in here, and the rest is kind of just like random stuff. I have kale, green onions, more kale. Actually, that looks like that's starting to flower, so I'm going to pick that and give it to the chickens probably. Leeks, and then these are Canterbury bells that should start blooming pretty soon now that it is spring. So yeah, that'll be coming up real soon, I bet. And then I've got a couple in progress beds. These ones I'm still in the process of weeding and all that. But at the base of a lot of my trellises, I do also have some peas that are coming up now. I direct sow these in, I think, mid-February or late February. And yeah, they're growing really nicely. Here's a look at our first Vego garden bed, which is looking so beautiful. I do still have spinach from the fall and winter over here. I've been picking a lot of this, and it looks like it's time to do another harvest again. It's looking really nice. Some of it is starting to go to seed. Like you can see, this one is getting a little tall, and it's starting to bolt. But a lot of it is still doing really great and producing lots of nice spinach. I have some beets that are overwintered from last year. I've got lettuce and kale over here, and my bok choy is looking really nice. Much better than when I transplanted it in. It has settled in really nicely. A lot of this part of the garden is a work in progress right now. I have not gotten to cleaning a lot of this up, so this is all left over from the fall. The only thing that we've really cleaned up around here is adding this new Vego garden bed where we transplanted a lot of our spring crops. I think those are still kind of like settling in, so they're not looking too great right now, but I think like in another week or so, once they've fully settled in, they're gonna start the actual like growing process. A lot of the radishes that we sowed in between are coming up now. So yeah, we'll give it a little bit more time. And then in the next bed, I have a huge mess here of my drip tubing that I was redoing, but we do have asparagus in here that has started to come up. Looks like I need to come out here and pick. But yeah, we're just starting asparagus season. The part of the garden I'm most excited for is this side in the back where I've been talking about since last fall redoing this space, and it's looking so much better than it used to be. We used to have a bunch of beds that just went horizontally, but I didn't really like the way they were spaced. We had a lot of weeds in there, and I also wanted to put a fence around it because we had a lot of trouble with deer coming in all the time. So I wanted to just like fully redo it and enclose this space. And I really like this formation that we have with beds kind of like all around the sides and the back, and then we have two long beds in the middle with cattle panels. And these are the trellises we're going to have for our tomatoes this year. So this whole row is going to be tomatoes. This row is going to be like half tomatoes and then half for my tall like shelling beans that I'm really excited to try. And then we'll see about the sides. I'm probably going to do like peppers over here. In the back, I've transplanted a whole row of onions that I'll show you in a little bit. But my idea behind this was I definitely wanted to have some kind of fencing. So we have this 6-foot high deer netting over here, and I know that deer can jump over 6 feet high fences, but I know that they can jump really high and really far, but not high and far. So my idea was that I would have the fencing here, and then a few feet in we have this cattle panel, so that way they can't really like jump over into here, because then they would hit this panel. And then the same thing on the other side. Essentially we have like 4 different panels of 6-foot high fencing or netting so that they can't like jump in. And technically I guess they could like jump in from the back, but I maybe will put some kind of like trellising along the back as well to make it like not as desirable for them to do that. So anyway, I don't know if it's like 100% deer proof, but it's definitely better than just having it open like we have in the past, where they just came in and were eating a lot of my plants, and it was just really frustrating. So yeah, that was my idea, and we're not completely done because we ran out of fencing or netting, so we have to get some more just to finish this last little part here. We didn't have enough to quite get there. And then we are going to make like an opening here, some kind of gate. It's probably going to be really bootleg because it's us, but we'll figure it out. We also still have to get some mulch to fill in the pathways. You can probably see like where the beds are, where it's raised, and we've added compost, but we're going to fill in all of the pathways with mulch. And then I also have to get the drip irrigation set up. I'm going to do a combination of drip irrigation, and then I got these things that are like, they're kind of like sprinkler heads, but then I can tube the drip irrigation in between each of them. So my thinking is that I'm gonna use some of these for some of the areas. I think it'll help like disperse the water a little bit more evenly. But then in between the areas of the sprinkler head, I can just like punch in and add drip tubing in between, just so I don't have to buy as many of those sprinkler heads to kind of like fill in the spaces in between. So still have to do that as well. But I really like how it's coming along so far. And then in the back, let me show you some of the onions that we transplanted. In here, looking really great. So we definitely have plenty of onions in the garden right now. So hopefully they all do well, and then we're gonna have lots of onions this year. And then here I have a rhubarb plant that came back from last year. So I think we still have to wait for it to get a little bit bigger for it to be harvestable. But we'll see. I'm not really sure like what time of year they're usually ready to harvest by. Here's a look at the chickens, doing really well. They're definitely in their like full egg production now. I think yesterday we got like 8 eggs in a day, and we only have 9 hens, so that's pretty great. And we have a couple of Asian pear trees in here that are blooming. This one has lots of blossoms on there, so hoping that we get some Asian pears. And then we have another tree that we planted down there. Not sure if you can see it, but we planted this one a year later as a bare root tree, and that one also has a few blossoms on it, so hopefully it's enough to cross-pollinate with the other tree. Heathy is feeling very needy right now. And then we've got our peach tree back here in full bloom right now. It's so gorgeous. Oh, there's lots of bees all over here. It's a really warm, sunny day today. It's like 70 degrees, so the bees are all out doing lots of good pollinating for us. We put up one of these pheromone traps, and it's supposed to help with oriental fruit moths and codling moths. And I think that's what we had trouble with last year. I don't know if I've seen any in the trap yet, but I'm hoping that it will help, because so far we haven't really been able to get any peaches from this tree, even though it blossoms so well every year. There's always bugs in it, so hopefully that trap will help. I'm also gonna try doing like some kind of wrap around the trunk of the tree to help with bugs crawling up it. But yeah, it would be so nice if we could get peaches off of this beautiful tree, but so far no luck. The goats are doing well. They've been a little loud the last few days because they are not really happy with the hay that we bought them last time because it's not the freshest. But there's nothing we can do about that, so just gonna have to live. It's hard to believe. They're like a year old now, so they're pretty much all fully grown. And as far as our plan for the goats this year, you can see Heathy's like rubbing all over the fence. I think they're like starting to shed because it's like warming up, and they keep rubbing on the fence. And you can see the fence is just covered with their fur right now from all the rubbing. It looks so crazy. So anyway, our plan for the goats this year, because we do get asked if we are planning to like raise them for milk, and we are. So this year, since Iris is now fully grown, in the fall we're planning on bringing her to a goat farmer and breeding her with a buck. Since we don't have bucks here, we have to bring her somewhere else so that she can get bred. So that's gonna be happening this fall. Our plan is to do it in October. And then the gestation period will be 5 months. So by next spring, so 1 year from now, I think we will have some goat kids. We're gonna start having goat milk, and I'm so excited for it. I know we still have quite a while until that becomes a thing, since it's gonna be a whole year from now still. But I'm just getting, oh my goodness. But I have just been getting really excited about the idea of not only having some cute little goat kids, but just having all of that goat milk and like what we're gonna do with it. I'm gonna make goat cheese and hopefully try and like separate out the cream and make butter. I'm gonna make soap as well, and it's just gonna be really fun, I think. So yeah, really excited for that. It's still like a long-term thing. We've already had them for a year, and we've got, oh my gosh, she's just feeling it right now. Yeah, and then we still have another year to go before we have kids and milk, but it's all in the works, and you know, it all takes time. So we're excited about that this year. Is this PG-13? Should I like not be showing this? But yeah, we're just really excited. It's all a learning process for us. We've never done this before, but it's all really exciting. And we're just gonna bring you guys along for the process. These goats are so silly. Okay, so that's all for the garden and animal updates. So now I'm gonna give you a quick little seedling update. I have some of these out here just to get some sun, start hardening them off. This whole tray here is my tomato seedlings. I separated a lot of them out, like if I had multiples of one variety in each pot, I separated them out. For the most part, I separated them out to have just one per pot. Some of them I still have two. I just couldn't bear to like get rid of some of those extra seedlings. I know I'm not gonna have space for them, but I figure I'm gonna make the culling decisions later on because I don't have the heart to do that at this point. This is just some catnip that I'm growing for our cats. Then here I have my beets. I have golden beets here, red beets here. These are my fennel seedlings. They're still pretty small. Maybe I should have started these a little earlier, but I'm hoping they grow quickly. Then I have tomatillos here that came up, and then my zinnias here. I think we're gonna have a couple of really nice warm nights here, so these might stay in the greenhouse overnight today and tomorrow. And then let's head over to the greenhouse where I have, actually I don't have too much in here. I do have some seeds that I seeded in here just because I didn't really want to bring them inside. I think they're gonna germinate out here. I have cosmos, melons, sweet alyssum, cantaloupe. This is all coleus, and then my marigolds are just starting to come up here. I have some leeks here that I haven't transplanted yet just because I already transplanted so many onions. I don't really know how much space I can dedicate to my onions and leeks. So if I can find a space, they'll go out, but for now they're just here. And then I have this little flat of lettuce that's looking really nice. And now I'm inside where I just have a couple more flats of seeds. This whole container is my peppers. They're growing slowly but surely. And then here I have my eggplants. I thinned those to 1 per pot as well. Here I have some flowers. In the very back here I have my basils and herbs. And then I have my lemongrass plant that's looking smaller than it has in the past because our cat keeps trimming it down for me. But yeah, that's all the seedlings. Actually, here's an update on the sweet potatoes as well that I'm growing for slips. They take so long to grow slips, I always forget, but they are starting to kind of grow the little sprouts right now. You can see there's one over there. There's a couple of leaves forming here. So it's a slow process, but they're getting there. Alright, so that is a look at kind of everything we have going on right now. You guys are probably all busy with your gardens as well at this point, so let me know what you have going on in the comments. I love to hear what you guys are doing, especially if you're living in a similar area. But even if you're living in a different climate, it's kind of just nice to know where everybody's at. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one.